What's up, guys? UFC Vegas 109, Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez is this weekend, and I'm here to give you my predictions, picks, and betting tips on what I think is going to be the best options for this card. But first, if you guys want to make money just by watching the channel, no betting involved, no sponsors involved, no anything, no paying, all you have to do is come to Tapology.com, sign up for a Tapology account, join my Tapology group. It's where I hold a weekly pick'ems thing where if you're the winner of the group, you win a little bit of money based on how much YouTube subscribers I have. It capped out at 100 until I'm monetized. So it's $100. I mean, if you win, if it's like a tie as well, we split it amongst everybody, but or amongst all the winners. But doesn't happen too terribly often. Anyways, all you have to do is go to Tapology.com, create an account, then go to Tapology.com/groups/2048, and then join that group. I will make sure that there are invites or requests right here. I check them daily, and I will let you in as soon as I see it. Yeah, that's how you can make money. All you have to do is click over here, and then you can edit your picks. You open this, and then you can pick your method and who you think is going to win by what round, all that mess. Or if you want to choose decision, you can do that. Anyways, we will now get into what I believe will happen on the Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez card. I will start with the early prelims, and then we will move up to the main event, breaking them down one by one. Cody Brundage versus Eric McConaughey is going to be the first fight of the night. This is going to be at light heavyweight, so neither guy is cutting weight, I don't believe. Cody Brundage, a guy who's been a UFC vet who shouldn't really be in the UFC. This is a guy who can't really win a fight without an extenuating circumstance happening during the fight, in the UFC at least. And it truly makes me never want to pick him in any fight. Because he has only beaten guys by random things, oh, you won by disqualification twice in your career now. I think it's twice. You also won by slamming a guy during him holding an armbar. That's not going to happen 99% of the time. A guy's not going to hold on to that armbar. I'm going to reluctantly pick Cody Brundage by KO because the reason being, Eric McConaughey doesn't have much tape out there on him. He came in on 1-2 weeks notice, or a few days. I can't remember how much notice it was against Nursultan Ruziboyev, and did not have any success in the fight. He was throwing kicks at range, looked terrified to be in there, and it could have just been the pure size of Nursultan that really worried him. Plus, being in the UFC jitters. I expect him to have a better performance against Cody Brundage, but I mean, it's Cody Brundage. I could also see McConaughey just winning a point fest decision and somehow just not getting, caught during it. I do think that the counters of Cody Brundage are good enough. He was catching Monster Abdul Malik with some counters early in their fight, and I think that's going to be what happens to Eric McConaughey. I think he's going to get knocked out in the very first round by a counter shot. Moving on to a women's fight, we've got Gabriela Fernandez versus Julia Stoliarenko. Well, the coin has decided that Gabriela Fernandez will win. Oh my God, she got knocked out by Chelsea Chandler. Jesus Christ. We lose decisions if we're going to lose. Submission, we won. All right, we're going to go. We're going to pick a round 2 KO for Gabriela Fernandez. I think that her pace and pressure will be enough. She did finish Wang Kong. That's. I'm glad the coin picked her, to be fair. Moving on to the welterweight division, we've got Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. Gilbert Urbina has only lost to solid fighters, and I view Charles Radke as a solid fighter. I think his combination striking and aggression, he's just a little small for the weight class, I think, for welterweight, but I don't know how he could make 155 though. and I don't think his style would work as good at 55. Gilbert Urbina is a very just, I don't know. He's okay. He's not bad, but I don't see him fighting and winning this fight. He is a guy that only fights like once a year. Uros Medic, good striker. I think he's going to end up winning this fight by knockout, especially seeing as how Radke and Brian Battle were able to finish this guy. Not both by knockout, but I think Uros Medic is a very solid striker. I think he's a little bit better of a striker than Radke, and I think he's going to be able to get it done in round number. I'm going to pick round number 2. Round number one. Round number 1. Yeah. Moving on to the women's bantamweight division, we've got Joycelyn Edwards versus Priscilla Cachoeira. I don't know how you fucking say it. The coin is going with Jocelyn Edwards. Chelsea Chandler and Tamirez Vidal are her last 2 wins. Josiane Nunes, a massive uppercut knockout. I remember that. It was pretty good. This is a fight that Cachoeira could win, but coin picked against her. It is what it is. Moving on to the bantamweight division, the men's bantamweight division, we have Elijah Smith versus Toshiomi Kazama. And I typically just avoid Japanese guys. I don't pick them in fighting. I don't pick Japanese guys in fighting. I don't think they're very good at it. Last week's card was an anomaly. That's not going to happen again. I'm going to pick Elijah Smith to get a round 1 knockout. I think that his game, or round 2 knockout. I think his game's a little too good for Kazama. I just don't think Kazama's on this level. Honestly, round number 1 knockout. He lost to Garrett Armfield by knockout. I don't think too hard on this one. It's the way it is for a reason. Japanese dudes don't win fights, real fights, and yeah. Anyways, I need you to stop. I need you to go somewhere. Julius Walker versus Rafael Caquera. We're in the light heavyweight division. You know, we have a guy who's never won a UFC fight and a guy who's never won a UFC fight. Isn't this just awesome? This is the level of fighters we always get in the UFC here lately on these cards, and I hate it. I guess I will be picking the more talented and skilled fighter in Julius Walker, but he did also gas out within like a few minutes of fighting Alonzo Minifield, and that's not good. He did take the fight on somewhat short notice, if I remember right, but I'm going to pick him to knock out Rafael Cicada, whatever the fuck you want to call this guy. All he does is come make some noise and do nothing. He actually does nothing in fights. He will just get KO'd. He just goes and stands there and becomes a punching bag. Don't pick Rafael Caquerda. That's all I can tell you. Moving on to one of the harder fights, in my opinion, to pick on this card. Eric Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan. I have been thoroughly unimpressed by Christian Leroy Duncan. I watched a lot of his tape over again, and it kind of backed up what I thought. Like, I almost feel like Eric Anders is going to win this fight because Christian Leroy Duncan likes to clinch a lot. Like, a lot. That's where Eric Anders is kind of strong, and CLD's main game that he is like good at is striking at range. But I don't know if he's going to commit to doing that against Eric Anders, who's slow and ploddy, and I would imagine Duncan's footwork would beat him. But yeah, you know, I just don't. Eric losing to Burial is what makes me like really not want to pick him. But his win over Weidman was good. It's just the guys he's beating just aren't great fighters. Weidman's toast at this point. He can barely move. It wasn't a fluke, but you could tell, like, obviously he wouldn't have beat a good Chris Weidman, like a younger Chris Weidman, even 3 years younger. I've got Duncan winning. I think he's going to win by knockout. I think it's going to be something kind of spectacular. He goes for spectacular stuff, and I think it will be in the first round, maybe. Nah, I think it'll be in the second round. Eric Anders is kind of tough. I think the clinching and stuff will cause it. But honestly, Duncan's one of those guys where I don't remember if he gets finishes outside of the first round. That would actually be something to look into. Or that I probably should have looked into. But I've got Duncan reluctantly winning. Last night I was picking Eric Anders, so that just shows kind of how it is. I've got Duncan winning. I could see it going the other way, especially with how heavy of an underdog Eric Anders is. Sprinkling a little bit of money on him is not a bad idea. Like, it's not a bad idea at all. This guy wins fights against solid fighters. He's fought higher level competition than CLD as well. I wouldn't hate sprinkling some money on him. Moving on to the men's bantamweight division, we've got John Matsumoto versus Miles Johns. I think John Matsumoto is just going to completely control him on the ground. Maybe to a submission, although his neck is like one of those hard to submit necks. Like, he's got one of those, like, he has no neck build in Miles Johns, I mean. But I do see this being a fairly easy fight. I mean, does he beat grapplers, really? Kind of beats grapplers. Maybe he gives John Matsumoto, honestly, some good trouble. I could see Matsumoto losing this fight, actually. Split decision to Rob Font loss. I mean, that's a good loss to have. I've got Matsumoto winning this fight by decision. I think it will be close, though. I think Miles Johns will have some good moments. I think he will land some big shots, and if he doesn't knock out John Matsumoto, he will probably lose by decision, because I think he'll be controlled on the ground a good bit. Moving up to the featherweight division, we have Andre Touchy-Feely versus Christian C-Rod Rodriguez. I think this is an awesome fight. It would have been funner a few years ago, back when Touchy-Feely was a little younger and a little, not more skilled, but more skilled for the times. I've got C-Rod winning this fight, and I actually think he's going to win by TKO. I've got him winning in the third round by TKO. I think he's just going to wear down and break Touchy-Feely. Feely's long-range strikes, if his footwork's still on point and everything, it's going to give Rodriguez problems in the first couple rounds. But his style, C-Rod's style, just, it breaks these guys over time. If you don't have great cardio, great output, great work, he is going to break you. He's very, very good. I love C-Rod. I wish he would go down to bantamweight and make himself like more of a like set in stone professional fighter, because he would be very good at bantamweight as well. And that's kind of the weight class he should be at, being 5'7". I've got him winning by round 3 TKO. I think his pressure, pace, the amount of volume that he puts on people will just be too much for Touchy-Feely in the end. So I have Christian Rodriguez winning by round 3 TKO. Moving on to Yasmin Lucindo versus Angela Hill. We've got the Neil Magny of the women's strawweight division versus Gilbert Burns. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, we will be flipping our coin. Heads. So, there's your heads. Marina Rodriguez, Carolina. She beat her. It's just one of those things where you see that Angela Hill has lost this fight, and you see the 2 green. She does this pattern very often. 2 green, 1 red, 2 green, 1 red, 2 green, 1 red. It's very concerning that Angela Hill's pattern will keep going. And there's about to be a 2nd green mark in this area. That should worry you, honestly. Because women's MMA is nothing but, like, weird things like that happen. And, yeah, I could honestly see Yasmin Lucindo losing via split decision to Angela Hill. The output and everything, I could see it being too much. I'm going to pick Yasmin Lucindo by decision. But it's an iffy one. As with all women's MMA, to be fair. Almost all. Moving on to the co-main event. Wow, that was the feature fight. Oh my god. This card is horrible. Steve Erceg versus Ode Osborne. Co-main event of the evening in the bantamweight division. I guess they're just not cutting weight, too. Since Ode took this on somewhat short notice. I've got Steve Erceg winning. I think that his entire game is going to be too good. He's a higher level fighter. He's fought at higher level competition for longer. Steve Reyes here, on his 3-fight losing streak. He's on the same mission that Dominic Reyes was. Got shot up into high level competition, lost to a champion of his division, potential GOAT of his division, and then went on a 3-fight losing streak to now rise from the ashes like a phoenix and come take the title at 40 years old. 30 years old for Erceg. I think that Erceg is actually going to win a pretty comfortable. I want to say a decision, but I think I'm gonna pick round 2 KO. I think that Ode Osborne just leaves himself open a lot, in many different ways to being finished, whether it's on the feet or on the ground. I think that Erceg could end up dropping him and then finishing him on the ground. Or if the striking's just not going well for Erceg, I could see him just taking the fight to the ground and attempting to submit him. I do think he could do so, but I honestly think it would be more of a decision if he started using his ground game. I don't know though. Ode Osborne does not have a great ground game. He has been submitted by Asu Almobayev and Jafael Filho. I've got Erceg winning by round 2 knockout. I think it should be a fairly easy knockout for him to accomplish. Moving on to the main event of the evening, we have Roman Dolidze versus Anthony Hernandez. Roman Dolidze riding a 3-fight winning streak. Anthony Hernandez on 5+. All against fairly good fighters, if I'm remembering right. Yeah, other than Marc-Andre, but he finished him very easily. The only losses for Roman Dolidze coming to Nasruddin Imavov and Marvin Vettori, but he avenged the Marvin Vettori loss later on, and he beat the GOAT Anthony Smith and hurt Kevin Holland's rib. I think that Anthony Hernandez is going to win this fight by decision. I think that he is going to put a pace on Roman Dolidze that if Roman Dolidze does not finish him within the first 2 rounds, that he will absolutely break and maraud and destroy Roman Dolidze, just kind of punish him. He kind of likes to do that, though. That's why I'm not picking him to finish him in the 4th or 5th round. He likes to punish his opponents, it feels like. He does not look for TKO finishes once he gets kind of in that mode, I guess. Although, to be fair, I guess it was just more against Brendan Allen. It felt like that. I don't know. Dolidze's tough, so I'm going to stick with decision. Anyways, these are my fight picks. I'll go back over them for you guys real quick, and then we'll end the video. So we've got Fluffy Hernandez by decision, Erceg round 2 KO, Lucindo by decision. Be careful on that one. C-Rod by KO round 3. I think that's a great fight. John Matsumoto by decision. I think that's going to be a competitive fight. Eric Anders, Christian Leroy Duncan. I've got Duncan by KO round 2. I think that should be a weird fight, honestly. Julius Walker versus Rafael Kakeda. I've got Walker by KO. We've got Elijah Smith by KO round 1. Joycelyn Edwards by decision. Uros Medic by KO round 1. Gabriela Hernandez by KO round 2. And then Cody Brundage by KO round number 1. We'll save our picks. These are the fight picks we'll be making for this card. Hope you guys enjoy it. Like, subscribe, comment. Help this guy hit the algorithm. And I'll see you guys for the fights, hopefully. I probably actually will not be doing a live stream for this one because I've had some family things come up. Have a great day, guys, and I will see y'all for the recap, I guess, if I can make that as well. That's another one. I may not be able to make the recap or the every fights to make videos. Anyways, I'll see you guys probably next week. Have a great day. Enjoy the fights.